Hey everybody, thanks for another Unity tutorial, and in this video I'm going to go over color layering, because right now all we can do to modify the color of a terrain is basically just modifying this color variable. So if you want it to be like red, click regenerate, it would then be red. And what I'm going to basically do is I'm going to create a struct being an array with a bunch of parameters that you can modify for the different layers of terrain, so you can get it to different colors and actually look more like terrain. So to do this, I'm going to add a new script, and I'm going to call this color to depth. And then in the script, I am going to make it a struct, because at the moment, this script and all of our other scripts that we've created have been classes. I'm just going to remove mono behavior. I'm going to then change class to struct. And then I'm then going to remove the start and update methods. Now this I want to be visible in the inspector, because I want to create an array of this in my terrain generator script. So to do that, I basically need to add the attribute above the script called system.serializable. Then next, I'm going to then add my variables I want in here. So I want to make a public string for the name. I want to make a public color that I'm just going to call color. And then I want two public floats, one being the min depth and another one being the max depth. And that's the script. The script is now finished. So now what I'm then going to do is I'm going to go to the terrain generator, and I'm going to go to the map generator first. And I'm going to change this up here. Instead of taking a color, I'm going to take a color to depth. And then I'm just going to, instead of calling this color, call this color to depth. And I want this to be a color to depth array, so it can store multiple elements. And then down here, instead of setting the render.color equal to color, I'm going to just create my own section. And this, it'll give me an error if there are no elements in the array. So I'm going to check to see if the color to depth array is not equal to null, meaning that there are still elements in the array. So if there aren't elements, it won't even access this line of code. So it'll just set the color just to white, and it will just kind of ignore all this code. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through the color depth array. So I'm going to do a for loop, int I is equal to 0. I is less than the length of my color to depth array. So I'm going to do color to depth dot length, and then I plus plus. And then what I then want to do is an if statement. And I basically want to check to see if y, which is the height of each block, is less than, so this is basically checking to see if the current block, so if this current block's y position is less than the height minus the color to depth array with an index of I dot min depth, and the y is greater than or equal to the height minus the color to depth array with an index of I dot max depth. And if that is true, then I want to set the render.color equal to the color to depth array with an index of I dot color. And in the color to depth array, or in each color to depth struct, I basically use the two floats and then the color, but I never actually use the name, and that's because it just kind of organizes it a little bit in the thing, and you'll see why, but I don't actually use that name in the code. Now, in here, it'll give me an error in the terrain generator script, because this takes in a color, and I need to take in a color to depth. And that means up here I'm going to rename this from color to depth. And then I'm then going to make this variable type be color to depth, and I want it to be an array, so I'm going to put an open and closed bracket there. Now that should be it for the code. So now when it compiles, I'm going to go over the terrain generator script, and then as you can see now it takes in a color to depth. So it sets the size to 0. If I click regenerate, it just sets it to just white, because it just ignores the code. If I didn't do that, checking to see if it's not equal to null, it would have given me an error because the size is 0. And I'm still trying to access those elements. So now I'm going to make it like a size of 3. And as you can see, it created all these elements, and you'll see it. So as you can see, it just says element 0, but you can close these. So it's nice if those could actually have names, and that's why I created this name variable. Because now I can just call this like grass, and then this one dirt, and then this one's something like stone. And the nice part about that is now if I then close out of these, it then sets those as the name of each element, so it organizes a little bit. For the color of grass, I'm just going to go over to green, and then I'm going to make it a little bit darker than the top, so maybe right about there. For the dirt, I'm going to make the red channel be 0.5, and the green channel be 0.25. That's a nice brown. And then for the stone, I then want to just go over to the gray over here and then make it like a kind of a lighter gray. And then for the depth values, I'm just going to set the grass to something, just so I have more of a range, I'm actually going to set the depth to something like 40. And then I'm going to set the grass to being about 0 to 5, the dirt being 5 to 15, and then the stone being 15 to 40. Now if I click regenerate terrain, oh yeah, and there's actually one thing I forget. I typically forget this, but it also again sets the alpha channel as well, which basically is the transparency, so all of the colors are set to being transparent, so you won't be able to actually see it because all the blocks are transparent. So now if you then make all those 1 along the alpha channel, you can now see it. And maybe I'll make the dirt elements a little bit, maybe I'll make it like 20, and then this one being 20 to 40. Just kind of making it a little bit more, but I kind of also want there to be more stone. I'll make this like 18. And yeah, you can mess around with this a little bit more too, but as you can see, you can kind of modify those values, and you got a nice colored terrain. So that's it for this episode. I know it wasn't that long, and it was pretty easy, but thanks for watching, and yeah, in the next video, I'm planning on going on Collision. So, see you in the next one.